Crypto and blockchain regulation framework coming to the US? Is SWIFT using XRP? Let's find out more about the Department of Justice tech investigation. And it all starts right now. Chip here with the XRP Minute. What is going on in the crypto village? We know otherwise as this giant stone sort of thing, third rock from the sun, better known as Earth. How is everybody doing tonight? There's so much stuff going on. Price action, best stable coin we know, XRP. We love it, we love it, we love it. It's the best thing going. I wanted to say who is in here first. Well, it can be none other than Jeff from the HODL Report, who announces himself as numero uno, meaning number one. If I could do a light translation, we have Ali G in the house from Down Under. Ali, thank you for popping in and joining us. So great to see you. Crypto Sifu's in here. We have Danny Torres. Who else is joining us tonight? Zbits. Zbits33 XRP. What's up, Z, as I like to say? What's going on, Z? And who else? Guys, go ahead and tweet this out. Vet Bro, what's going on? Probably think you're dreaming about Vet, right? Is that what we're doing? We're talking about vets. Yeah, Ali, you almost were in number one, but Jeff had you. He was probably pulling it down on his phone, trying to get in there. Yeah. You know, it's a big battle to see who can come in here first. You know, it's always a fun thing to see who can come in. I want to say hi to Bubba Shipes. How are you, Bubba? Thanks for the kind words on some of the tweets you've been laying down. I appreciate that for sure. And what else we got going on? Yeah, so Jeff is numero one at the HODL Report. Hey, he said me, LOL. I don't know what that's all about. Here looking for the box guy. Yeah, the box guy. Try to pull the box guy in tonight. It's weird, you know. Box guy's a weird dude, you know. It's like sometimes he's just a weird guy. I mean, he is a box guy, you know. It's kind of a weird concept to begin with. But yeah, box guy will probably be dropping knowledge. I don't know. I try to book him on the show. It's just tough. Apparently he's got a busy schedule that none of us are aware of, but he's pretty busy and couldn't drop in. You know how that goes. So yeah, he's a square. He's a square. It was actually more of a rectangle. It's harder to do the square, but yeah, he is a square with a floppy old box on his head. But you know, he's an interesting dude. What am I gonna say? And we've got on the on Mixer. Hey, Stone Joker 11817. Hey, hi. How are you doing? What's up with you tonight? Good to see you on Mixer. Man, I like Mixer. I'm glad if you can blast that out on Mixer, Stone Joker. Let's get some more people in on the Mixer. And maybe more people are watching, but you know, not everybody wants to comment. Sometimes they're like, well, I don't necessarily know if I want to comment, right? Yo, he's saying, what's good, Chip, over. Jay Currency's watching us up on Periscope over on Twitter. Hey, what's going on, Jay? How are you been? What's up? How are you, man? What else are we doing here? What's good? I'll tell you what's good. The crypto world. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to jump right into it in a second. I'm going to show a couple of my favorite tweets. Kind of a grab bag tonight. A lot of weird stuff going on. You know, reaching in. Sometimes you reach in, you see if you can grab a clue out of there. You pull out something and you go like, what's this? So I've got my normal array of stuff that I like to talk about. You know, some fun stuff at the end. We always put some stuff. You know, Crypto Eddie has her fluff. I've got my stuff. It's always something fun, right? I haven't come up with a term for it yet, but it's all over the place, really. So, hey, XRP Carolina, what's going on? Go kill yourself. Oh, yeah, say it. That's nice. So we're getting somebody in there. See, this is what happens when you get somebody in there and they got to yell obscenities. All right, but if you don't like the content, that's fine, too. Let's see. Am I going to be able to, I don't want to kill that whole bot. But anyway. Dansky's here. What's going on? And I think I missed XRP Connie Angel. I don't know how I did that, but I somehow did that. And she's saying click the thumbs up and the likes. If you're new here and you go ahead and subscribe, click that little bell. It'll let you know when my videos go live most of the time. I can't say all the time because it's weird. I don't get I always get mad when somebody's streaming. I want to watch it, but I can't get involved with it, only simply because I never get the notification. I don't know, there's something weird, or another notification goes off. But let's see what we've got going on here. Let's jump into this. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I know one of the things I opened up with was, you know, is Swift using XRP? So guest one put out a really good thread, and I kind of wanted to jump into it a little bit. And so basically he's going through he's basically going through GitHub. If you guys don't know what GitHub is, you know, I've been using GitHub for some time. It's a code repository. It's pretty much open. Not always, you can lock it down, but most companies will commit their code. I think it controls more than, I think it has something like 40-50% of the code in the world, but basically it's a repository for code that you can go through. This happens to be open. So what he's done is he's gone, well, I don't know if it's a he, I'm just guessing, could be a she. Guest one, it's hard to know, freedom9442994 you could follow this person, whoever this is. And conclusion, basically, Corda users can submit payments to Swift, and settlements for these Swift payments will be done in XRP. So he meticulously takes us through the some of the code base over here. So if you can go in and see, this is all open source right now as far as being able to go through it. And right here, Swift receives a payment request, processes the payment. Swift uses XRP to settle the payment in their system, which cannot be seen on the Corda repository. Please see step 3 below to see how the process flows before concluding that I'm just guessing. So there's a lot of stuff that this person, you know, guest one's gone through here and sort of looked at this stuff. Jungle, what's going on? Jungle's in the house. When are we doing our whiskey stream, man? We got to get back to our whiskey stream at one of these times. I know it's coming. We'll probably have it in the next couple weeks, whatever, but we'll do it. So what I really like about this, and you know, the funny thing about, if you start looking through code, what basically this guest one is doing is sort of breaking stuff down. So in step 3, Swift sends the XRPL transaction hash back to Corda. So what's happening, there's a little bit of interplay between a couple different systems, right? So you have Corda, the R3 settler, you've got an API involved, and then you have you know, Swift themselves. And then in step 4, during the request, the XRP Oracle Service user specifies that the settlement was for a Swift payment by selecting settlement method equals Swift settlement. So basically what he's doing is he's kind of running through the code here and dissecting it and surmising sort of what's happening. Number 6, the reason why this process flow is likely to be correct, because there's only one other meaning to the function verified Swift settlement. This function only exists within the class verified settlement, which is only refers to the class. So basically what he's saying here is that it has to be, because it's doing a verification, and basically right here, guest one is showing you right here. Here it is right here. Here's inside the code. You know, it's a lot of text stuff here, and we don't need to jump in too much, but let's summarize it. Corda user submits a payment to Swift via an API. Settlements for Swift payments are done via XRP, and then we have the Swift sends the transaction hash back to Corda, and then Corda/user verifies the transaction hash is observed on XRPL. Now we've heard a lot of this week. I know Jungle put out an awesome video too. A lot of the YouTubers put out some really good product as far as what's going on, because you know, Swift's out there with a press release. You know, we've done it in 13 seconds. Well, yeah, it's not a true remittance, as we know. It's not. You know, it's not the same as settling on the other side, right? They had to send the money there. They still have the equivalent. The money has to come from somewhere. It's not the same thing, although they're touting it as the next great thing too. And number 8, please critique me. Let me know if there's any flaws in my logic. It's much welcome. You know, look, I mean, without knowing what the actual calls are and being able to look beyond just some stuff on GitHub, it's hard to know. But I think what it points to is the fact that, you know, they have been trialing. Some other stuff has been coming out, which we'll look at as well. Let me see. Where is it? You know, you have 4,000 tabs open. You can never find the right thing, you know. Darren Moore Jr., what's going on? How you doing? Thank you for stopping on in. Appreciate you stopping by here. And it's funny because I don't want to be jumping all over the place, but I'm trying to find out where my other... it's probably in here somewhere. Don't know. Anyway, let me just go to guest one. I think it's in here, but we'll look for it. We'll just kind of look for this together. Yeah, so I think it's in here anyway. Let's go through all the la. My gosh, there's so much stuff going on Twitter. So as you guys know, CryptHawk went ahead and tweeted this out. Swift uses Ripple, successful. And then it was retweeted by Guest One. And here it is. It's coming out. Swift uses Ripple, successful instant cross-border trials between Asia and Europe. Right there. So yeah, it's there's only one way. They're not gonna. I mean, Ripple started building in 2012. Last time I checked, we're almost in 2020. You're looking at 7.5+ years. You're not going to be able to just turn on a dime and then create something. Even if you look at, who's that? Is my brother? No, I thought it was my bro texting me. But even if you look at what's possible as far as being able to innovate, yeah, you can know them. You can know the path. You know what they're achieving. But to build, it's a whole different thing. Let's look at Libra coin. Like, so Libra, the Facebook project, right? They come out. They float a white paper because they're looking for the feedback. Now, they're saying they're going to launch in 2020. Now, I know David Marcus came out and said, yeah, well, we might do that. We're going to be pay close attention to government regulations, la, 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 right? That's what he said. They're saying all the right things and doing all the right things. But when they come out and they start talking about what they're actually going to achieve, look, I think Swift is always going to be playing catch up. And just like anything that's on its way out, they're always the last ones to know. You're always keeping if you've ever run a company and the company was slowly dying, but you think there's always that rainbow around the corner, the next big thing we just got to do. But I've been through that a couple times, and you actually have this sort of mind thing going on where you believe your own BS, right? You start believing it. We're just that far away. If we only do, and if we get this, and the bottom line is that thinking can really be the end. And sometimes one of the things, the sayings they have in the tech startup world is fail and fail fast, because you have to fail fast. You don't want to fail over the course of, what's it been for Swift, 30, 40 years right now, since the 70s, right? You don't want to fail like that because you didn't have competition. You weren't thinking about the future. You weren't innovating. Now all of a sudden, you're running out of breath and you're trying to keep up, and you're not winning off, with the Iceman, with the special breathing techniques, as Jeff from How to Report alluded to a little bit earlier. What's going on, Rain? Rain, I want to see if you're going to join me on Thursday night. I threw it out there last time. See if you want to come on Thursday night as the guest on here, because I try to get Box Guy, but Box Guy's a little difficult. He's a little quirky, but he's a Box Guy. What are you going to do, right? So I thought these were semi-important because I always suspected from day one. I don't really believe a lot of the Swift PR. It feels like they're trying too hard. That person that is always trying to overachieve, and they're always telling you stuff like, well, you got to do this. Well, I've done this. Well, I've been there. And they're always doing that. Everyone knows somebody like that. It's like, hey, chill out, bro. Don't try so hard. Just relax. Take it easy. Cream rises to the top. And if you got the goods, you don't have to be broadcasting it all over, because there will come a time where we'll talk about being the XRP pioneers and people will be, what's XRP? Well, yeah, it runs the world, but they don't need to know that. They just know that the stuff works, right? They don't need to know that they could send a payment and we're looking future now, in a second, and it's there, true remittance, both ends, boom. Fiat to XRP, XRP to fiat on the other side. They don't need to really necessarily know what the problem is. They just know that it works, and that's fine. They may not even know what XRP is when it's the standard. They don't have to know. So let's jump into the chat here. What's going on, LG? Hey, Channel 10 News. Australia is doing a story on cryptocurrency at 5 p.m. tonight. So I hope if you could, Ali, if you could find that on once they broadcast that, they usually do a tweet to it, or sometimes you can find the story on YouTube if they're broadcasting there. But I'd love to see that as well. So maybe if you could, tag me in that, I'd love to do that. Chip talking about comedian Carl Lewis. I'm always talking about you, Carl. There's a lot of love for everyone in here, but comedian Carl Lewis, I'm just waiting for you to turn on the switch, man, and bring it, right? That's what I'm waiting for. Jeff on my Twitter page. Oh, you already put it. Okay, so did it already happen? Okay, maybe it already happened. All right, Darren Moore Jr. tweeted a link to the show. Thank you, Darren. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Let's go along here. So some cool other developments here. New York Legislature names initial members to its crypto task force. And I wonder if there's somebody we know that may be there. Is there somebody there? So members include Consensus founder Joseph Lubin, Global Blockchain Business Council CEO Sandra Rowe, adjunct fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Yaya Fanusi, co-founder of blockchain, and Microsoft York Rhodes, director of regulatory regulations at Ripple, Ryan Zagone, and professor of law at Cardozo School Law, Aaron Wright. So it was cool because Ryan went ahead and set this tweet out here. It's an honor to be selected to serve on the New York Digital Currency Task Force. I'm looking forward to the work, and thanks, Clyde Devenall, for your leadership. So this is Clyde Devenall right here. He's basically talking about the task force here. So it's always great when we see, it seems like, it's funny, it doesn't seem like Ripple has a little bit of hand in the cookie jar everywhere, right? They're kind of scattered all over the place. They're sort of, they have their pulse on everything. Every time you turn around, there's somebody, Ripple representative in another country doing a talk, doing a speech, meeting with people. This stuff is really exciting. And I know sometimes we look at the price and we're like, oh, what's the price at? I'll just roll over and go back to bed. That's fine, and it's you don't have to exactly connect with that every time. But so what? Who cares if we've got the greatest stable coin? It's not going to be the stable coin forever once it launches. Let's take a look at this. This is something I thought just kind of came out, really kind of just broke tonight. And I know Jeff and I were talking a little bit earlier about some of the stuff that was going on as far as with the House. So, and this is pretty exciting. Just in, Banking GOP slash App Banking Senate scheduled a hearing on cryptocurrency and blockchain regulatory frameworks for July 30th. So this is pretty interesting. Let's go into it a little bit. I pulled the story over here. Get rid of all this kind of stuff. So the Senate Banking Committee will hold a hearing on regulatory frameworks for cryptocurrencies and blockchain next week. Now, what's exciting about this, we've heard a lot about the token taxonomy bill that's sitting really in committee still in the House of Representatives, which if in the U.S. you've got the House of Representatives, and then you have the Senate, and then it goes into the president for a signature, right? So what you have here is you have the Senate kind of jumping the gun a little bit. Committee said in a press release it'll hold an open session titled Examining Regulatory Frameworks for Digital Currencies and Blockchain on July 30th. Though it's unclear if this would be a fact-finding mission or any specific pieces of legislation will be discussed. Now, I don't believe it's going to be anything like what we saw with the Libra hearings. I think that they really are feeling the crunch. And, the Senate's a little bit different. The way the Senate is comprised, the Senate, the majority are Republicans. In the House, you have the majority being Democrats. So the Democrats control the House. The Republicans control the Senate. And I do believe there's consensus on both sides, and it is bipartisan. And we've seen from the hearings with Libra that we really have to, you can sit there and complain all day long. Why is Libra going to be based in another country? But you've really given them no alternative. And I want to jump into two other companies that were U.S. based that are leaving the U.S. because of the reason of uncertainty when it comes to regulation. So this is a giant problem. So let me see here. Yeah, so Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire, representing the Blockchain Association, Rebecca Nelson, member of the Congressional Research Service, specialized in international trade and finance, and Mahenza Baradin, law professor at the University of California, Irvine School of Law, will testify as expert witnesses. Now, we could sit here and talk all day about, are these the right expert witnesses? Who the one found them? The bottom line is, I think they've assembled a really good start here, and some really smart people and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this ends up. But the hearing will be live streamed, so we will be able to tune in, and hopefully it will be somewhat better than that debacle we saw with better known as the Libra hearing with Facebook. That was just that was hard to watch. I have to be honest with that. That was a real train wreck. Dansky, what is he saying? Educating Congress on blockchain is useless. Just show them how they can make money in crypto and all is done. Yes and no, Dansky. I mean, it's true, but just everything. This is a new asset class. There hasn't, when we look at blockchain, there hasn't been something new in hundreds of years. So yeah, you can't expect the dinosaurs in Congress to snap to it and get it right away. And there's a lot of divisiveness right now going on in Congress. They're sidetracked and chasing rabbits all over the place. It doesn't really have anything to do with why the people in this country elected them and why they sent them on as representatives of the people. They're more like representing themselves and lobbyists at this point, which we know. But I do think education has taken a little bit of root, because if you look at the questioning that happened with some of the Democrats and some of the Republicans, you're starting to see somewhat of a shift that it's better than it was 6 weeks ago. Is it great? It's not, Dansky. It's not where we want it. But I think we're making progress, and I think ultimately that's what we need to take a look at. So what else do we have queued up for us here? Okay, let's jump right into this. So I talked about two companies that are leaving, Circle and Poloniex. I never know how to say it. I would say Poloniex, but it's Poloniex, moving from the U.S. to Bermuda due to regulatory uncertainty. Womp, 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 womp. No good, man. No hay bueno on that. Crypto conglomerate Circle announced that will be moving the majority of its operations offshore. Now, where have we heard this before? And meanwhile, you have the folks in Congress. Dansky brought it up. What are they squibbling about? Silliness, goofiness, silly investigations, things that go nowhere. Meanwhile, they're not passing any real legislation that's affecting not only the American people, but this kind of stuff that happens here. I'm seeing other countries. Taking side. There's a whole bunch of stories today about regulations that are floating into the government for tiny little countries. And meanwhile, the U.S., supposedly a leader, just can't get out of its own way to make any of this happen. So here we go. Circle's leaving. They said that the Bermuda government granted the company a Class F license under the Digital Assets Business Act of 2018. Now, how sad is that? The Bahamas, which is really, it's actually 90 miles. Jeff, maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 90 miles out. If I drive a boat right out to the ocean, boom, I run into the Bahamas. It's right off the coast of the U.S. They've got a Digital Assets Business Act of 2018, right? And meanwhile, the U.S. has had the token taxonomy bill in committee. They can't even get out of committee to bring it to the floor for a vote. It's still stuck in there. Yet the audacity of Congress to get up and complain that Libra would be moving out of the U.S. Meanwhile, that's been sitting in committee, and there's not a lot being done by it. So what's up, DNI? How are you, man? So let's see. Great point. What did I miss, Hoddle? Yeah, Dan, that's right. They need to be led to invest prior to clarity, and then pass the bill. Bam, there you go. Right on. Yeah, so when we think about what's going on in Congress, look, everyone has a role in this. Yeah, you could sign petitions. I'm not a big believer in petitions myself. Yeah, I sign them when they come by. Look, you know what works? Calling your congressman, congresswoman's office, right? Showing up there, sending them emails, calling them, getting 5 of your friends to call them, because that's the kind of thing they get a little bit nervous about. And your voice represents 1,000 other people. They get a few calls and get hammered. Their phone starts coming in like, hey, why aren't you guys attacking this? That has a bigger impact, in my opinion, than any of these things you might want to sign. Circle wants to regain market share by moving to Bermuda. And what's funny is early on, I was a big purveyor user of Circle. I actually love it. It was back in the day. But then they started making some real big changes. I think some of it could have been regulatory. But anyway, this is one of the ways that my co-founder and another startup that I had, we would send Bitcoin back and forth. This is how we would do it. And back then we were excited. The fees were a lot less. This is 2013, 2014, and basically I ended up using Coinbase, but Circle was one of the early ones that I used because it was pretty solid. If it took 2 days or a day and a half to go through, the fees were much better than wiring money. Or going through the slow, swift process. But again, this is what woke me up to it, was that use case. And I want to get into another use case, by the way, another article that I saw talking about Bitcoin. And it's shocking in some ways, but then when you realize the Bitcoin maxis, it doesn't shock me too much at all. So yeah, this is another one. So Poloniex moving from the U.S. to Bermuda. So Bermuda opening its doors. We saw Malta do this. Malta's like, hey, you need a place? Yeah, come on, man, swing by. We're open. We're a little island on the Mediterranean. By the way, I've been to Malta, And it's a pretty cool little place. It's like going back in time. It's just fun to just, jump on a bike and just, go around. I did some boating around the island too. It's a pretty cool little place. And, wouldn't mind, hitting that again just because there's a lot of crypto based exchanges that seem to be moving there as well. Let's go over to the chat and see what's going on in here. What's going on? Carl's dropping some funnies, I'm sure. Called my congressman and he said, I'd like to help your son, but you're too young to vote. What? Oh, no. Yeah, August is recess, right? So, they start the recess. They started it about 3 weeks ago, really. They're like, all they would do is go on TV and start talking about the recess. Congress goes back home to their district, and Jeff's bringing up a really good point here. Is they go to their districts, and what happens? They actually are in their district. Most of the time, they spend their time in Washington, but on recess. Now, what they used to do is have town hall meetings to pretend they were engaging with their constituents. They would go in there and say like, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I'm your representative in Congress, and I just want to get some feedback." Well, that worked pretty well, but a couple years back, it was like, the pitchforks came out and they're running for their lives, and then all of a sudden that wasn't a good idea. So they basically hide from the constituents. But, phone calls, head out to their office, this stuff works. Set up an in-person meeting, say, hey, look, this is important. Not only for us, because look at, show them articles like this. Here's two companies leaving the U.S. and how many others have left. Why are we discouraging this? What are you doing to help? Where is my voice being represented in this whole thing? Let's see what else this is. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about this. Justin Sun thing is really bizarro. Justin Sun, so I just bizarro. Yeah, there was a lunch between him and Buffett and la 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 la. I actually wanted to close this one. Why was I still this open? I don't know. So yeah, let's talk about this right here. It's the settlement assurance is stupid, right? Sounds like a really entertaining article on the face of it. Yeah, the Knights of Malta. There you go. Dan, I saw a memo. Jeff from Huddle Report says, Dan, I saw a memo come out of D.C. saying exactly that. XRP meetup at every congressional office each Monday in August. Right. So that's you want you forget about signing petitions. You want to see something happen? Boom. There you go. Grab a bunch of people, pull them together, throw out a tweet, and then show up. So I saw this on its face, sound like a really interesting article. It's a settlement assurance is stupid. Yeah, okay, I'm on. I'm biting. What do we have here? So when is the time to finality on major blockchains? How long should I wait before considering a Bitcoin transaction settled? Right? What are the risk factors which might cause me to demand additional information? How do confirmation? So on the face of it, you start reading this, you're like, oh, I see where this is going. This is going to swing right back into XRP, right? Because basically it's the settlement assurances, right? And we know Bitcoin. So surprisingly, none of these questions have good answers. Even in 2019, over 10 years after the first Bitcoin block was mined, rigorous investigations into the properties of proof of work has been hampered both due to perception, and that's just a temporary staging around some future superior consensus / civil resistance mechanism, and due to belief along Bitcoiners that its quality is inviolate. Who knows what that word is? I don't know, man. Throw these words at me. But some of the questions are fundamental. So I'm reading this and I'm engaged. Okay, yeah, I'm following along. I'm right there with you. Yes. And then I come down to what's the interesting thing about Bitcoin? That's a good question. What is it? Well, it's a surprisingly difficult question to answer, according to the author. Ask 10 different Bitcoiners and you get a couple dozen different responses. So here's what I ask you. What is XRP? What is its use case? Are we going to get 10 different answers? 15, 20, 30? Do we know what XRP is? Do we know what its function is? It has one. And we look at Ripple. What is it? What are we doing with XRP? Well, I don't know. It's 3 letters in a row. No, so this is when I think about this. So then my mind's going, wait a minute, what's going on? Disagreements about what Bitcoin's for. Nearly tore the community asunder in the 2014-2017 period. He goes on to quote some other people. Evaluating settlement. So what are settlement assurances exactly? They refer to a system's ability to grant recipients confidence that inbound transaction will not be reversed. Wire transfers using a messaging service like SWIFT are popular in part because they're practically impossible to reverse. So he goes on to basically talk about settlements, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so quantifiable settable variables, ledger. So one of the things that they talk about here, and this author really gets into, is the slowness of the network. And they built this lightning, the lightning network on top of it, and they're running into some issues with that now. So yeah, I mean, just if you've ever taken an old website, and it has legacy code, and you try to update it, I've been through this a couple different times. Sometimes it's better to start over, but you can't always do that. Why? Because you don't have the time, the money, the energy. It's going to be a big expense. But what you end up doing is patching stuff together. You end up writing code on top of legacy code, on top of new technology. You start slowing it down. The code gets bloated. And, it's not too dissimilar to what we're seeing now with Bitcoin. So think of it as a bit like a school project where you had to read a book and produce a book report. You need to prove to your teacher that you read the book, so you produce a book report, a valid block hash with a sufficient number of leading zeros, which you could only have created if you actually read the book, computed sufficient hashes. So again, they're trying to take real world stuff, turning into, hey, remember when you had to do a book report, and then you blew that off and you just read the cheat sheet, what are those little yellow books? They had all the summaries, which were excellent. Now you can get summaries. A lot of services out there and startups that do this stuff. So I read this whole thing. I'm not going to bore you with the sticky details, but they go on. So I said, I'm tired of reading. It's what I said, and I said, you know what? Let's just get to the meat here. Where is the XRP? Oh, geez, that's not found. Okay, where is Ripple? Oh, hey now, what do we find? Needless to say, Bitcoin is by far the fastest settling blockchain, just including these two variables and none of the other salient ones. What? Settling even a 1 million inbound transaction can be extremely slow. But whoa, back up. Just said it was the best thing ever. It was the best thing ever. One sentence ago, it was the greatest thing ever. By far the fastest settling blockchain, right? If you compare it to itself, apparently. So settling even a 1 million inbound transaction can be extremely slow on many blockchains. Well, I know one it's super extremely slow on. Aside from Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, takes over a day for every other decentralized ledger. Now, this is the big kicker. I'm not including Ripple. Again, Ripple, I know they can be interchangeable. I'm not including XRP and Stellar in these examples because they don't have, here, wait for it, meaningful decentralized validation. Wah, wah. Again, this is just crazy. How long do we have to listen to this and entertain this? So, I mean, I will give props to the author for at least a late showing of that, but it's kind of weak when it comes down to it, I have to be honest. It's like they waited a long time to go, hey, what's up? Roy's in the house. RTB, Roy the Badass is here. What's going on? Roy the Badass. I asked my brother, I don't know what my bro's up to. Also wanted to give a big shout out and thanks to Auburn Rain, who sent me not one but two 0.0589 XRP. Thank you very much, Rain. He sent two because that's how he rolls, man. Tool to the deuce. Carl Lewis, I don't even know if I should read this right here. Yeah, I don't know, Carl. You're too... yeah, staying cool in the heat. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's move right along here. What do we have here? Let's get into it. What is this? So I love this tweet right here, and it's a controversial opinion, not really controversial at all. Most crypto projects are inventing a new problem to solve instead of solving an existing problem. Man, when I read that, did that speak to me? Let me read it again. Most crypto projects are inventing a new problem to solve instead of solving an existing problem. And it's funny because if you were watching the HODL report last night, it kind of seemed like when Jeff was going over the Xcash, I believe it might have been. Is that right? Maybe you'll correct me. But yeah, I mean they were gonna do everything for everyone. They were gonna solve the world's problems. They were gonna end hunger. They were gonna clean up the streets. They were gonna make all politicians fun-loving, and all of a sudden overnight just understand everything about cryptocurrency. Okay, well that's clearly not what happened, but it is very true. Anyway, I love this too, and I kind of said it sounds about right. C3 Nick said, yeah, it's not controversial. It's accurate most of the time. XRP platypus so hasn't every technology ever made. And I'm not sure if it's true on most of them, but that does sum up many crypto projects today. Well said. Very true. So that was a good one. Actually, I really need to give this one a retweet because I really like this one. It was a funny one. Hey, Sincerely George is here. SG in the house. What's going on, Sincerely George? So I like stuff like this. This sometimes you just put the simplest tweet out. It's just little, it's a couple words grouped together and make a sentence, but the thought behind it is right. The funny thing is Jeff and I from How to Report were talking about this one time. This also happens in the startup world. Most startups are inventing a new problem to solve instead of solving an existing problem. It works in a lot of different spaces, but it's so true that this is really, really spot on. I want to introduce this. This doesn't have anything to do with cryptocurrency, but I think it's a phenomenal story. Why? Because of what's happening with Amazon. So Amazon makes this huge splash with a game-changing Realogy partnership. I don't know if you know who Realogy is, but they're sort of a parent company of like Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens. They basically are the parent company of a lot of real estate companies that you know. They're a huge company. As you know, I work in real estate tech, and I really like this. There's something really interesting, and what I want to take a closer look at with you is, what does this mean? Yeah, okay, on its face it looks like, yeah, Amazon and a real estate company, they partnered, but I think it's deeper than that because there's a bigger play right here. So the nation's largest real estate company and e-commerce juggernaut want to change the way people buy homes. Okay, we've heard this before. What does it mean? How does it work? How does this happen exactly? So Amazon, diving head first, I wanted to go into Turnkey is a new platform that rolls out Tuesday with the heft of a major marketing blitz across Amazon channels. Amazon has a really great captive market, that you can certainly bring a lot of, people already there right now. Let's look at the bigger play, and I want to jump in this. I want to jump through some of this stuff. So here's it. Buy a home with the top names in real estate, get thousands back in Amazon products and services. Wait a minute. So you're going to buy the house anyway. So if you happen to purchase the house through this program, Turnkey, right? In other words, you would have worked with one of the existing real estate companies anyway. This is cool. What they're doing is they're building in adoption, right? They may be doing some sort of a split. I don't know how the back end metrics work, but what I like about this is this same process happens over and over again, and sometimes we don't even realize it. So the big play here, you're like, well, what's in it for Amazon? Adoption. So you're building in adoption. How? Let's take a closer look. Better Homes and Gardens. Yeah, okay, I have an agent. Yeah, I know somebody that works right down the street, and that's who my real estate agent, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, ERA, and now you add Amazon to that mix. So you basically get matched with a hand-selected local real estate agent. Here you go. You're buying leads, right? So there could be a lead exchange. Find and purchase your new home, your dream home with your agent's help. You're going to do it anyway. Get thousands back in Amazon move-in benefits. Hey, what's going on, BZ Comedy Channel? How you doing? What's going on? So this is what I love. Let's see how this really drills down and works here. So your home purchase price, like if you buy a home in the $150,000 to like just under $400,000 range, you get a package worth roughly $1,000. So what does that look like? Well, $450 credit towards your choice of services, including unpacking, cleaning, blah, blah, blah. But what's really in it? How about the Amazon smart products? You get an Echo Dot, you get an Echo Show, and you get a Ring doorbell. Boom! Amazon is now living in your house. They know who's at your door. They know what you're doing, what you're talking about, what you're buying. Boom! Adoption, major adoption. Now, these are people that are going to go ahead and do this anyway, but now you start throwing some goodies out there. It's like, hey, boom, okay, 150, right? There has to be enough in the amount to make this palatable. But then we get into our privacy issues again. And Amazon Move helps customers who are moving, providing convenient access to products, blah, blah, blah. But what's the bigger play here? It's all about adoption. So now you got an Echo Dot in the house, an Echo Show, the doorbell, and then now you have Ring. You go like, hey, it'd be cool to have, the cameras inside. So boom, you blow $400 or $500 on that. And by the way, it'd also be cool to have one of these internet-controlled, door, locks. I'd love to see that, right? So it's the entry level into it. They're going to get expand. It's a huge deal. It makes a lot of sense for, a couple different people here. And then you have this other. So look, what does it look like if you buy a home, 400,000 up to almost 700,000? Well, the package is a little bit better. You get over $1,000 of credit towards your choice of services. You get 2 Echo Dots. Maybe you have an upstairs and a downstairs. So now, no matter where you are, you can do an Echo Show, a Ring Doorbell 2, 1 Sonos Beam, and 1 Eero Wi-Fi. So boom, there you go. You're covered. You get your Wi-Fi, your mesh Wi-Fi. You're all set. But what happens if you buy a home that's over $700,000? Well, you get up to $5,000 in package value. You get 4 Echo spots, 2 Echo Shows, a Ring. You get the upgraded Ring Doorbell Pro, Wave Connect Camelot Deadbolt, which we were just talking about, 2 Fire TV cubes, 2 Sonos beams, 12 Casa light bulbs, 1 Eero Wi-Fi, and 1 SmartThings hub. Boom. So this is the same kind of thing. You build these same kind of things into adoption on the other side, right? By partnerships that make sense. Scratch my back, I'll go ahead and scratch yours. But I think the bigger play here is it's a very good deal for both parties. Why? Because these brokerages right here, Better Homes, Coldwell Banker, Century 21. If you're not here, these are the biggest players in the U.S. for real estate companies, and you're going to use one of the agents anyway. So now going through Turnkey, you're basically assuring yourself that you're going to do this anyway. Nothing's going to change other than going through the program and having the ability to receive some of these products. So I like this kind of a partnership on its face. And it's a really good big win-win for both. Realogy stock prices soared. Amazon was favorably received as well. I think it's going to do really, really well. Let's get into this. The Justice Department announces a broad antitrust review of big tech. Uh-oh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's this all about? So the DOJ is investigating big tech. Interesting, right? So we've been hearing about this coming for some time. It's also separate from the Google and Apple investigations. I wanted to go ahead and take a look at this on the Justice Department website. This is the press release that came out today. Justice Department reviewing practices on market-leading online platforms. Let's make this a little bigger so we can see it. There we go. There we go, peeps. There we go. You see? Wow, that's too big. Let's see. So they announced today the Antitrust Division, right? I wanted to just go in here. Okay, so here's the thing. The department's review will consider the widespread concerns that consumers, businesses, and entrepreneurs they've expressed about search, social media, and some retail services online. The department's Antitrust Division is conferring with and seeking information from the public. So they're reaching out to the public, wanting to know more, including industry participants who have direct insight to competition and online platforms and more. Getting a little bit dry here. So I saw a funny comment from Rain. So Rain says, "Hey Jeff, Bozo shows up at your house one day out of the blue. What the hell, Bozo? What more do you want from me?" Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's called blood, right? Because you got some cloning to do. But they're not gonna clone you. They're gonna clone a super you, right? One without all the faults and all the nuttiness. Yeah, so Rain says, yeah, I saw a tweet earlier today. It's the start of the big reset, big changes coming for all the powerful people in the world. Alexa, please clean my house. Yeah, weird thing is Alexa doesn't do that yet, but Alexa listens to the conversations, and Alexa doesn't always destroy the logs either, because we found that out, that they keep the logs. Oops. So it's all over again. So when you look at this, without the discipline of meaningful market-based competition, digital platforms may act in ways that are not responsive to consumer demands, said Assistant Attorney General Macon Dellum of the Antitrust Division. The department's antitrust review will explore these important issues. So yeah, this is interesting, right? An interesting development. I think it's time, I think the funny thing about this is I think there's a little bit, I wouldn't say of agreement from both sides, the Democrats and Republicans, but the Democrat platform seems to be that they want to crush and kill and throat punch big tech like Google and break them up. And then on the other side, you've got conservatives being banned left and right. you know, they said the wrong thing. No freedom of speech. We don't agree with it. We don't like what you said. It hurt our precious feelings. Our feelings are important, and so we banned you. So, you know, there's a little bit of both going on there for both sides. Man, 10:55, but I did start a little bit late tonight. Then that'll happen. Yes, sincerely, George, I will preach. I will preach it all day long. Thank you for that. Thank you for the stars. I'm preaching. Yeah, here we go. So, okay, this has, every once in a while towards the end, I throw some stuff in. It really has nothing to do with anything. But, you know, I'm a giant hardcore Beatles fan, and I just love this, man. So these are Beatles songs reimagined as vintage book and magazine covers, right? It's just great because it looks like something you've already seen or known. I mean, these were books like this one here, Tomorrow Never Knows, Lennon McCartney, but just, you know, even with the ripped up bindings and everything, like an old, one of those books laying around your house, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, the girl with the kaleidoscope eyes, cellophane flowers. This is fantastic. I thought I would just put this on here. Sometimes you just got to take a break from it, man. Sometimes cryptocurrency can be like, boom, you know, enough. We've had it, you know. We live and breathe it. We wake up every day. You know, Wim Hof does his breathing exercises. What do? We live, we eat, we sleep. It's like crypto. What's going on Twitter? What's going on YouTube? Who's streaming? Who's doing this? Is Sincerely George on? Who's streaming right now? What about the Hub Report? Is Rain going to broadcast on Friday night, or is he taking more time off? Right? This is the important question. Sometimes you got to jump through it. Is there more? But wait, there's more. Oh yeah, there's more. Let's take a look at this. I love this. Hello, goodbye, Lennon McCartney again. By the way, I was looking at an old Lennon. There's a phenomenal interview of John Lennon and his attorney when they're trying to kick him out of the U.S. back in 1974. And he's actually a pretty funny guy. You know, I always try to consume. It's weird how many things I haven't seen yet. But look at this one here, A Day in the Life. He blew his mind out in a car. 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire. Now they know how many holes it takes. Like an old cover. It's great, man. I mean, I don't know if you like the Beatles. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to throw it at you. This is just phenomenal. I love this. The Beatles' White Album, Rocky Raccoon. This is, after an old magazine ad right here, which I love it. You know, last line is here, Drive My Car, the 1965 Beatles. It's fantastic. Just, you know. I think that was it. Yeah, there was some more, but basically I think it's a book. What is this? Oh yeah, okay, this was a good one too. Let's just jump on this one. So they did one in the David Bowie series too. This is Bowie, so they did Under Pressure, Space Oddity, Young Americans, you know, Life on Mars, one of my favorite Bowie songs of all time, just phenomenal. Never gets old, always gets better. We Can Be Heroes, Starman Stories, Scary Monsters, you know, and Super Creeps, changes coming along. Yeah, so that was another one. It's a good idea, Chip, another vacation for Rain. Yeah, and that's not a good idea, man. We're counting on you. So are you on Thursday night, Rain, with me or not, man? Stephen Hawking was confirmed to a joystick. He somehow found a way to cheat on his... What? Holy cow, I didn't even know anything about that. They look vintage. That's the whole point. The vintage look, and it's, you know, they're all the ripped sides and everything. We've done it a few times. Sometimes repeats your last statement. Very scary. I'd hate to accident. Sincerely, George says, I'd hate to accidentally trigger Alexa to protect me by calling a three-letter friend. Right. XRP. Is that what you're alluding to? I'm not a detective, but I think I'm getting what you're laying down. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I told you yes earlier. I got you. Right on. So what do we have? We're running out of time. So we've got a couple more little stories here. What is this one? Is this something? Yeah, look at Lego. So you guys know it's the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. And so what is Lego doing to celebrate this? Well, what else would you expect? They made a life-sized astronaut model. And again, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. Now, if you've seen the iconic picture, this is what I like. Look at this. You even see the reflection that they built into this, which is just amazing, right? They don't show you the whole thing, but if you see the reflection right there, let's see if do they have the other picture? Yeah, they do. There it is. So it's just fun. I mean, they did a really amazing, holy cow, what's going on my screen here? What in the tarnation? There it is. There's that famous, iconic, holy cow, things are jumping around. I got to get off the screen. It's no good. I got to get off it. We doing a call-in? Yeah, we'll do a call-in because we might be able to test if you're up for it. We might remember how the last test went. Last time I did a test stream with Rain, my video got a copyright thing. It's not Rain's fault. It wasn't either one of our fault, but I don't know. I think it was one of these AI programs, so I'm a little bit worried about that. But I'm in game. If you want to start a little bit earlier, and you and I can maybe explore bringing you in. And if that doesn't work, we just boom, we pop out of that and we go to a phone call. The phone calls have been working. I took a page out of your book, Rain, where you were, you put it on a Bluetooth speaker. I put that up to the microphone right over here. Chip's microphone. I'm like, hey, Rain, can you hear me? And Rain starts talking. He's like, I'm like, Rain, we can't hear you. You got to talk louder. Rain, are you there? And that's all right. But, people get tired of that after 30 or 40 minutes. Sometimes they hang in there and sometimes they don't. So you find stories every once in a while and you realize that sometimes there's just stories that don't make sense. The fact that you can buy a flamethrower to attach to your drone for $1,500, this does not sound like it's going to end well at all, right? I mean, look at this thing. So you're just like casually flying around your neighbor's house in the back, maybe a street over that's always having some sort of a, parties all the time. And oops, I hit the button that just burned their house to the ground. I didn't know. I was a mistake. It just threw a 40 feet flame onto their house and just burned it down. I don't know. It was a mistake. So I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if it makes any sense. Hey, what's going on, Hike Around? Thanks for jumping in last minute. Hike Around's here and we're just getting ready to wrap it up. But 25 feet. Okay, I misspoke. I said 40 feet. Doesn't matter. 25 feet away, has a gallon fuel capacity. Yeah, that's what they say, but someone's going to hack it. They're going to be able to get a bigger drone with 5 gallons, and they're going to basically flame a whole block of houses. This does not sound like a good idea. Look at this. And what are they doing? Burning down trees in the forest? I mean, we have enough problems, right? This is crazy. There's a guy putting gas in. He's got his gallon of gas there. He's filling up his drone so he can go ahead and, burn down some more forest. I don't know if this makes sense to me. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. If you're new, please subscribe. Please click that bell. You need to get the notifications, and even when they don't work, I'll tweet it out or something interesting will happen along those lines. What else do we have here? That actually might be it for this. I might be it. I think it might be. I don't know. Yeah, probably it. It's probably it for now. So I just wanted to talk a little bit. Who's in the house tonight? What do we have? So Dansky, Auburn Rain, Sincerely George. Hey, keep those streams up. Loving your streams. It's great to, and the funny thing is when I look at my, and I know there's plenty of ladies that come in here, right? There's it says mostly male, some female, but my stats, I look at them, it's like 100% male, and I'm like, I know that's not true. I know it's not true. So it's really great to see, we need more, streamers of the feminine persuasion, but it's more than that. It's what you bring to the space. It's your energy. It's your take. It's it's everything. It's all a part of that. But it's great. So welcome to the streaming world. It's awesome to have you. I've been enjoying your streams. Keep it up. Keep going. Don't get discouraged. Just keep trouncing along. Next thing you know, my God, you'll be like I don't know. You'll be up there with 30, 40,000 subs, and I'll still be worrying about if I'm going to hit 1,000. But who knows? I mean, we don't know. Anything is possible in this world, right? Look at 589 Society sneaking in right under the wire, but guilty as charged, saying, "Hey, I'm late to the party, but I'm here now," and that's okay, man, because you can watch the live stream on Rewind. It gets posted out there. And, we talked about some important stuff. We talked about the DOJ Big Tech investigation. We went into a little bit of what's going on with blockchain regulation, blockchain and cryptocurrency regulation that's happening in the Senate on July 30th in the United States. What else we talk about? We talked about some important Beatles covers that were reimagined as classic books and magazines. A whole slew of different things that we talked about here. And I always like to shout out, like I said, the first person in here. And the very first person was Hodl back in, Jeff from Hodl Report was the first one in. We've got Vet Bro. Who is in here? Who is all in here? Let me take a look at this. I know you can go in here. You can see who the participants are, but that's not everybody. So we do a 589 Society, Arbor Rain, Bubba Snipes, BZ Comedy Channel, Dansky, Danny Torres, Hike Around, Jeff from Hodl Report, RTB Roy, The Badass, Dutchy, Sincerely George, and XRP Connie, Angel. And also we had a jungle in here a little bit earlier, which was awesome. RippleNet Baby. What else we had here? What are we looking at? Oh, it's nice. Pop-up style green screen. Yeah, right on. Yeah. Yeah. I like the sound of that. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Anyway, tell your friends, wake your neighbors, make phone calls, and on the recess, investigate. Why can't you arrange a meeting? Let's do some meaningful stuff, right? Jeff and I need to investigate that too. We need to set up some meetings and say, hey, what's going on here with your, running around Congress, making a lot of noise, but not getting anything done? We're not so happy about it. Let me know what you think about what I've said. Where did I go wrong? Put it in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up, all that good stuff. So that's my take. What's yours? Chip